Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Florian. I'm so delighted to be with you today. It seems like we have some technical issues. It seems to be one of these days that many things stack together that do not work in our favor. So, um, you know, this reminds me of one of the things that John Maxwell says that for a leader, very seldomly you have two good days in a row. So what it means is that we should expect challenges, and today it's a challenging day from different reasons. Um, my son it's sick, so I had to take care of him, and he's sleeping in the other room, so he might wake up in the middle of this live stream here. LinkedIn doesn't seem to be working with us today, so you probably see me on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm just gonna reach out to my team to post the link to YouTube for those that are not able to join us on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn doesn't seem to be working. So I'm just gonna share this with my team, and then we get started. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna probably put a recording of this on LinkedIn. So if that doesn't work, all right, I'm just gonna text my team here. All right, so I don't know if this works. I could actually put this in the comments as well. Let me see if I can put this in the comments. So yeah, it's not a straightforward day, but I have some things to share with you today. So I'm more than happy to. All right. Yes. So I put those on in the comments. So please go on YouTube and watch us there. If you're not able to join on LinkedIn, it seems like LinkedIn doesn't wanna connect. So we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So all right, let's dive right in. I have some things to share with you today. I hope they're going to add value to you, and then we see what we can do and how much can we cover. But let me kind of go to the slides and let's go through it. Okay. So again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being patient with the technical challenges. My name is Florian. I'm so delighted to be with you today and to share something from our Real Success series. This is a framework that we use with organizations. So whenever we work with a team, with an organization, and we want to have kind of a growth plan, a growth strategy across the organization, a growth company, then these are four elements, four building blocks, right? The real framework, right? And I'm going to share today the first of those four. We're going to look at relationships. So let me go to my slides here. And what I planned for us is to look at what are the building blocks of real success, right? Why building solid relationship are the cornerstone of real success, how to connect with people and why connecting increases your influence in any situation, and also some of the shifts that you might need to make in your approach so you can influence and make a real impact. These are some things that I learned on my journey. And if you are a bit like me, you probably want to do more, achieve more, create more, experience more. And if that's you, then maybe if you're feeling that you run out of the day before your to-do list is done, that's a sign that you might be spending your time in areas that do not really help you. So if you feel like me, that you want to achieve more, you want to do more, you want to be more, you want to create more and impact more, and you feel that there is not enough time in the day for you to do the things that you want to do, then perhaps you are where I was a few years ago. And what I learned is that if I want to grow, if I want to develop, if I want to become the best version of myself, this is why I chose the logo of my company, become your best version. That's my idea. But if I want to do that, I need to be intentional. I really need to be intentional. This is what John Maxwell says. If you want to grow and become the best person you can be, you've got to be intentional about it. There is no other way. We have to be intentional with the areas that we're growing. And kind of what positions me to talk about this topic is because there was a time in my life where I wanted more. I had aspirations. I had people that I follow, and I was inspired. That they are things that I can do, but I didn't know how. I didn't have the you know the I didn't know how to do it. So there was a time in my life where I didn't know the things I'm going to share with you today. There was a time in my life when I was struggle as a leader. I was struggle as a team member. I was struggle as a husband, as a partner. I would struggle because I didn't really understand the role of relationships, and I didn't really make the shift that I'm sharing with you today. So what has helped me is that I've tried many things, and they didn't seem to work. I was more or less frustrated because I thought, it's, that I'm not doing anything wrong, and that the problem is other people. But I was not really reaching anywhere until I become very intentional to work on myself and my skills in 4 different areas. And that's part of the real framework. This is something that I came to learn through my association with John Maxwell. Many of you know the story of me sitting in an auditorium in a leadership conference in Romania, and our CEO at the time of the company I was working for offered everyone a book, one of John Maxwell's books, and that introduced me to John Maxwell and his body of work. And then I come to learn about the real framework, and then I got licensed to use it. So this is something we use with clients. But how has helped me is this way. I tried many things and didn't really made an impact for me until I made some changes. And some of the shifts that I made have to do with the real framework. Like if you look at things started to change for me when I started to focus on building strong relationships with the people that I led and I coach. I started to focus on relationships. I was very results oriented. I was very driven. And so if you would be on a journey with me, in the car or a road trip, I had a very strict schedule. We needed to be there at this time. We needed to be there at this time. So what I would do is I would drive people crazy because they want to stop. They had an emergency. They want to go to the toilet. Maybe they want to do something, and they want to maybe stop and take some pictures. No, I was very intentional in what I thought it was important to get there when I thought we should get there. And then I kind of made the journey painful for people. So then when I started to shift my perspective and focus on building those relationships, I realized that, people don't really remember kind of what I said, but they remember how they felt when they were with me on the journey. Then I started to equip myself and my team for success. I started to look for areas that I need to improve in and become much more intentional than just, reading random, material or topics or studying random topics. Number 3, I own and I took responsibility for my attitude. That was a big one. I thought that the problem is other people. I thought that I have the things that, that I have the right perspective, that my attitude is helping me, but it was not. And so the challenge with that was that it didn't really get me where I wanted to. So I started to change my attitude and also own it, took responsibility for it. And number 4, I began developing my leadership skills. So you'll see that this is part of you'll see the pattern here, right? You'll see this is part of the real success formula. And real stands for actually relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership. So some of the things that we're gonna cover today will be in these areas. So we're gonna look at the number 1, right? At relationships, and why relationship is the glue that holds the team members together. Over the next 5 or 6 weeks, we're gonna cover all of these in each of them in one of these live streams. But today we're gonna look at relationship. And we're gonna discover some of the things about relationship. But why are relationships important to success? That's a question that you might ask yourself. And I ask myself that question too. And what I come to understand is that everything that we do depends on other people. In other words, if you have a goal, if you have a company, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to achieve anything, right? We're talking about success today. Whatever success means to you, most likely you're going to have to work with other people. And so you're going to have to build relationship with those people. So about everything we do has to do with teamwork and working with other people. And relationships are the glue that holds team member together. If we know each other well, that if we have trust in each other, I'm going to give you some building blocks for relationships, but if that's the case, right, then we have each other's back. As a team, even if we hit a challenge or a hurdle, then we're able to overcome it because we have each other's back. And that relationship keeps us together. Many people, stay loyal to an organization because they have a really good relationship with their manager or with their colleagues, and they don't want to lose that. And that relationship is more important than a compensation package or more flexibility that another company could offer. So as a leader, we absolutely need to be able to build those relationships and build those strong relationships. So what are some of the characteristics of strong relationships? How do we know that we have a solid and strong relationship with someone? Well, here are some things. First of all, it's respect, right? If you don't respect a person, and if, for example, you're thinking about a person that they have to earn your respect, like or they have to do something for you to respect them. Well, I'm not sure if that's a very constructive way of looking at it. Respect is something you show to others even before they have done anything to warrant it. And I know some people they expect you to earn their respect, meaning that they will not start with respecting you, and maybe if you do some stupid things, then maybe you'll lose their respect. But they start with the mindset that you should earn the respect. And some leaders demand respect. Well, you can't demand respect. Respect is not something you demand or trust. Respect is also something that you earn in the eyes of your people. So the first building block, it's actually respect. And there's also one other aspect here, that you can't make another fellow feel important in your presence if you secretly feel they're nobody. What we think and feel about other people, it will show up. Even if we want to cover it, it will show up. And so they'll feel it and other people will see it. So respect, it's the kind of the cornerstone, is the foundation, is the first thing we need to have in place for a solid relationship. Then shared experiences, things that we do together. I remember some of the things that glued the team that I was leading at one of my previous employers. The things that glued us together the most was shared experiences. We went on these business trips, and then we were sit in the evening, maybe have a beer, have a chat, maybe go into the sauna and ski on the lake, and all those experiences that we had together, right? A trip to Japan and being on the flight and talking for hours, like those experiences have helped us build a relationship. So a solid relationship requires also shared experiences, things that you have done together or you're gonna do together. Oops, I'm just going back here. Trust, it's, again, there is no solid relationship without trust. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Trust makes leadership possible. Trust is the cornerstone. But again, do you trust people, or do you give people the benefit of the doubt when you trust, or do you expect people to earn your trust? Right? And if trust is not there, then what would you do to rebuild that trust? Reciprocity. A solid relationship, it's a relationship where you both add value to that relationship and contribute to it. And if you feel it's a pleasant time to be together with someone, does that person feel the same? And then that goes to the mutual enjoyment. Like, do you enjoy time together? And does the other person also enjoy time together? So these are building blocks for solid relationships that we have found. And at the end of the day, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how do you show someone that you care? By doing the things that we just show. Now, let me leave you with this thought on this kind of the building blocks here. I really believe this quote to be absolutely true. Few things will pay you bigger dividends than the time and trouble you take to understand people. I truly believe that, because this takes time and intentionality. But if you do it, then you're able to build strong relationships and you're going to be able to achieve real success. Let's look at, why we might fail to understand other people. Sometimes it's out of fear, the fear of the unknown or the unfamiliar. And if we replace that fear with understanding, then we give these people a chance. And I can acknowledge them, they are people with different backgrounds and even beliefs that for me it's difficult to connect with. Why? Because I come from a post-communist Christian background, white male in Romania and Sweden, and so I haven't been through those experiences that other people have been through, and things that are outside of my kind of familiar, could feel that are dangerous, or it takes time for me to be able to kind of intentionally get to know those people. So because we are afraid of the unknown or unfamiliar, then that keeps us from even trying to understand those people. Being self-centered. Now, do we see people from other people's? Do we see the things from other people's perspective, or are we too focused on our perspective? Because what is my perspective? It's based on my experiences up until now and everything I went through up until now. And so most people have not been through my life. So if I'm aware of their perspective, then I can understand them better rather than focusing on what I think it's important and my perspective. Failure to appreciate differences and failure to acknowledge similarities. Sometimes, differences bring us together, but if we don't understand differences, again, that could be a way that we can't understand people if we don't understand why they are different and how they are different and what makes them different. And also when we look at similarities, right? So if I would want to be treated in a certain way in a certain situation, like what makes me think that other people want to be treated differently? In a situation where you may be, disappointed someone, put yourself in their shoes and see how would you feel if you'd be in their shoes. And you're going to notice that you're going to feel very similar to how they feel. So similarities and differences. Here are some questions I'll leave you with. So if you want a copy of the slides, just comment slides in the comments. So I'm going to share a copy of the slides. You have these questions you can spend more time on. But these are good questions for us. Like, how do we build that respect and how do we earn that respect? Like, what's your first thought? Like, do you show respect to others or do you expect others to earn it? Share experiences. How are you actively creating memories with the people that matter to you? Trust. If you wanted to regain someone's trust, what would you do? Which relationships, do you have where you feel that you're always the giver? What about when you feel you're the receiver? Because if relationship only goes one way, then that's not a solid, strong relationship, right? You don't want to be neither the receiver or the giver. You want to be both. Mutual enjoyment. You know, what people do enjoy spending time with you. And how do they feel about your time together? These are some really good questions for us to think about when it comes to building relationships. But let's go to the kind of the next thing here, right? How do we build this relationship? What are some of the building blocks, and how do we build relationships now that we know kind of what strong relationships are? Let's look at some of the building blocks. One of the things that will help us in building those relationships with people that will help us advance in our careers and in our leadership is to believe in people before they have proved themselves. That's the key to motivating people to reach their potential. That's one of the challenges many leaders face, because sometimes we have these expectations and we have these sometimes views of what people do and how they can perform or not perform, and we kind of put knowingly or unknowingly, we put a number, we put kind of a threshold, we set a limitation. And what happens is that if you put, let's say, a 7 on someone's forehead, like 7 out of 10, you put a 7 on someone's forehead, what will happen is that most likely that person will only raise to the level of that expectation. If you put a 10 and you then treat them as having the potential to be a 10, then they will most likely raise to that expectation. So if we believe in people before they have proven, that's one of the keys to helping them reach their potential. How do we do that? Here are some things that will help us. What believe stands for, right? So B is believe in them before they succeed. E, emphasize their strengths. Sometimes it's so easy to focus on the blind spots, on the things that we need to improve and forget about the strengths. Help them to list their past successes. So when they doubt themselves, then remind them, oh, wait, but think about that. Look back. You were able to do this and that and that and that. What makes you different today with this challenge, right? So help them list their past successes to build confidence in them. Instill that confidence when they fail. Remind them of the past successes. Experience some wins together, like mentor them and help them to get some wins under their belt, so they build that confidence. That's believing in people. Visualize their future success and help them see it as well. One of the things that leaders have to do is not only to paint the picture of the future, but also help people see themselves in the picture. So as a leader, what you could do is to help them visualize that future success, and also expect a new level of living. What I mean by that is they will live up to your expectation to your expectations. So if you place these high expectations of people on people and you believe in them, because the challenge is sometimes we place high expectations on people, but we don't equip them and we don't believe in them to be able to raise to those expectations. So that's frustrating for everyone, right? And so what happens is that we want to place high expectations, but also to believe in people to raise to those expectations. So those are some strategies that could help you to believe in people and build those strong relationships with your team and with your colleagues. Now let's look at how great leaders connect with their people at a deeper level, leading from the heart. I just shared this earlier. I think this is one of the things we probably need to remind ourselves every single day, or for me, multiple times a day. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so many times we lead with our accolades, with our degrees, with our certifications, and people don't really care about that until they know how much you care about them and if you can help them in any way, and if you care to help them. So people will even forget what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. Because what I have learned is that in order for someone to be on board, to be with you on the team, to be, in that kind of strong relationship with you, and as a leader, right, you want to also touch the hearts of people and touch those hearts before you ask them to help you. So in other words, leaders connect with people, care about people, believe in people, touch their heart before asking people to follow. And John Maxwell's put it very well. He says, great leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. And I really believe that. So here is some things that you could do. How could you, connect with people? Connect with your people. Well, first of all, you have to connect with yourself. You have to know, like, and be comfortable with yourself. Even more or less, love yourself. It's one thing to know you, to know your blind spots and your strengths. It's another thing to like you, and it's even a deeper thing to love yourself. And so when you love yourself and like yourself, then you'll be authentic and it'll be much easier to connect with people. But if you don't know your blind spots or your strengths, and if you're not comfortable with those, then you might not be able to connect with people. So that's kind of the first thing. Then communicate with openness and sincerity. People feel when you're honest and when you're sincere, and also when you kind of try to make things up. That's something that we know unconsciously. We read those between the lines. This is the emotional intelligence that most of us have developed just kind of naturally through experiences, especially if you come from an environment where you maybe have been out of your comfort zone. You have to talk to people that you don't know, and so then you see patterns, right? And there is something that you don't know why is that, but you say, well, I have a feeling about it, right? You don't know, it's a feeling, right? Where does that feeling come from? Well, that's your intuition. And so people are able to intuitively kind of read between the lines and see if you're open and sincere or not. Knowing your people, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but if you know them and if you know about their goals, aspiration, dreams, motivation, it's much easier to connect with them when you know that. Walk your talk. If you do that, then people are going to trust you. And if people trust you and if you promise something, you deliver, then definitely people will connect with you. Meet them where they are. Some leaders have this open door policy, my door is open, you can come in whenever you want. But they fail to recognize that what is needed from a leader is to actually go out of that office and actually walk through the offices, through the crowd, walk slowly through the crowd and meet people. Focus on them and not on yourself. Again, if someone shares something with you about something they've done over the weekend, the urge is to share your experience and how your weekend was. A great leader, a great connector, what they do is ask open-ended curiosity questions to unveil more of that. So if someone says, well, it was a great weekend, we were out with family, and then you ask, where were you? What kind of out experiences you've done? What did you love about that? Do you do this often? And so then if you're interested in them, they're going to open up. And so that helps you connect with. One tool that we use actually with leaders is our assessment. So at the Maxwell Leadership, we have a set of impact assessment based on the DISC personality. And one of the ones that we use most often is the communication impact assessment. And this helps leaders understand their style and their people styles when communicate and motivate. It's an objective tool that helps us put words on something that we know about ourselves, about our working style, communication style, leadership style, but also helps us see pattern and understand our people. So this could also be used with colleagues. But one of the things we do to help leaders is to creating these communication assessments and reports for their teams, and also team reports where they can see the different members of the team and how each of them have different needs, different styles, different experiences, and what makes them unique, what do they bring to the table, but also how to connect and motivate them in the best of ways based on their needs, not your need as a leader. So that's one of the tools we use. If you're interested in taking one of these assessments, just drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to share a key code with you, and you can try it. So to kind of conclude this part here, if you want someone on your side, don't try to convince them. Try to connect with them. For so long, I was in the convincing mode. I was when people wanted to had questions about things, and I thought that if I become more convincing, then I'll be able to kind of influence them. But I become salesy, and they didn't really buy into the idea, because I was too much focused on my point of view and why I thought that was a good idea, rather than trying to understand them and their perspective. But because my perspective and my style colored the way I was seeing things, that was focusing too much on my perspective. If you look at the table here on the screen, this is out from our assessments, right? So we have 32 different combinations of 1, 2, or up to 3 of these styles. And my case is, and I'm a combination of influencing and dominance, of the yellow and the red. Each of these styles seek different things, have different strengths, have different challenges, dislike different things, and make decisions differently. So if we don't understand each other, and if we assume that what works for me works for other people, then we're really kind of not connecting with them. And I see this challenge when people try to motivate their teams using the same motivational factors as they would motivate themselves. And as a driven personality style that the red, it's very easy for us to believe that if we put more pressure, people are going to accelerate. What happens is that some styles and some people, when you put more pressure, they freak out and they pull the handbrake. So you're not going to go faster because you put more pressure. You really want to know your style, what works for you, and also what works for your people. When you know that, then you can connect with your people much easier. The challenge is that so many times we are self-centered, we are focused on ourselves. But if I would do this exercise with you, if I will hold this, beach ball here between you and me, and you're going to look from the other side, right? You might see a different color. And I'll say, well, on my side, it's pink. And you say, Florian, I mean, what do you mean? I see orange or I see green. And while we see different things and we have different perspectives, each can be true and each can be right. So acknowledge that there are different perspectives and each can be right. And when we do that, then we're not focusing on ourselves too much. We're able to focus on other people. So this is, again, to connect with other people, we have to forget about ourselves and focus more on them. Here are some reflection questions for you that you could actually write down, take a snapshot of this screen, or write slides in the comments, and I'm going to share the slides with you. But here are some questions. Now, how aware are you of your personality? What are your greatest character strengths? What about weaknesses? What's one of your greatest assets? And deficit, right? How do you relate with others on a scale from 1 to 10? And how well do you communicate with them? How likable are you? Take some time to reflect on those questions and then discuss them with some people that know you the best. If you have identified some strong relationships with people in your life, in your career, in your team, take the time to maybe discuss this with them and see, okay, here's how I see myself. Would you want to help me a little bit to see things from your perspective? Like, how would you see me? I rated 7 when it comes to communicating with others. What do you think? So get that feedback from them. It will help you greatly. So again, these questions could help you, but also if you want to get the the slides and have them and be able to share with your team and reflect on them, write slides in the comments. We'll be more than happy to share those with you. Let's look at strategies for empathy. Like, how do you build empathy? What's the role actually of trust in empathy? And we say that trust is the foundational of leadership. And why do we say that? It's because think about any company or any organization or any country for that matter, that let's say there is a political regime, there is a political party, there is a leader that comes to the leadership of that country, a leader that people don't trust. What happens? When trust is not there, and people, and especially, money, will leave that country. When clients lose trust in an organization, they look for alternatives and they stop buying in those products or services. When you lose trust in a political leader, what do? You move to another party. So trust is the foundation for leadership. If you don't trust people and people don't trust you, you can't lead them. So when it comes to empathy and, again, what's the role of trust in building empathy with your team? Well, if I don't trust you, and if you don't trust me, you might believe that my means are wrong, or the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and my motives are wrong. What I mean by that is that I only can be empathical with you if you trust me that my empathy is actually, it's genuine. So again, trust, it's kind of one of the three elements that creates a leadership profile here, a leadership, a leadership trio. Trust-based leadership, it's at the intersection of competence, connection, and character. In other words, I'm competent in the area that I ask you to trust me and to trust me to lead you in that area. I'm able to connect with you, and also, my character is intact. I mean, you trust me. So how do we build that empathy? It's because when we have all of those three things, then we're able to build the trust with people, and so that trust allows us to build the empathy with them. So let's look at why trust is so important. Well, if you know the 5 dysfunctions of a team, this is a framework from Patrick Lencioni. Lack of trust or absence of trust is at the basis of this pyramid. So if trust is not in place, we're not able to build any empathy, we're not able to lead people. And so what happens is that when we have trust, then we're able to challenge each other and have constructive conflict, and also to commit and hold each other accountable for that, right? And then to get to results. But without trust, everything else, it's not possible. So what I'm saying is that we really, in order for us to be able to empathize with other people and build that empathy, we really need to have the trust in place. And then this is a framework I have found very useful. It's the empathy map here. So if you want to empathize with someone, if you want to really understand what someone thinks, feels, sees, hears, kind of spend some time into, thinking about these areas. You can even print out this one. You can have a screenshot and, print it out and then take notes on it. Like, think about it. I want to connect with this person. I want to empathize with this person. What do they see? What do they hear? What do they think? What are some of their pain points? What are some of the gains? And if you do this imagine doing this for each of your team members. Imagine, just taking this, if you take anything from this kind of this show today, this live stream, just take this empathy map and fill it in for each of your team members. Put the picture there in the middle, put their name, and then put 5 or 6 things in each of these categories. And you're going to see how clear the picture will become. You're going to see how easy it's going to be for you to empathize and connect with them when you have done your homework to look about those things. Okay? How can you build this trust through empathy? Active listening, I don't think we need to spend a lot more time on this one, but active listening it's one of the most difficult activities there is. People think that listening it's actually a passive activity, but in fact it's a very active activity. And many times we have conversations that are going on in our head, right? So the person is sharing something, and instead of us kind of listening to what the person says and asking follow-up question, we're thinking about what we're going to say. So there is 2 parallel conversations, one that's happening between us and the person, and the other one that happens in our head. And instead of us listening and looking at what a person says and paying attention to details and to the non-verbal communication cues, then we're thinking about what we're going to say. So then we have this double conversation, one happening in our head and one happening with a person. That's why active listening is one of the most energy consuming activity, and it's the most active thing that you could do. It's not a passive thing. Vulnerability, that's how we build trust. Share your challenges and learning experiences. People are going to trust you more if you don't portray this perfect image. I made this mistake, and someone came to me from the audience of the keynote, and he said, Florian, I would like to do what you do, but I mean you seem so perfect, like everything it's the slides are good, and I know you the right words at the right time. And I was surprised because I didn't want to portray that image of being perfect, or not at all. I just want to help the person and help the audience. And so I realized, okay, well, probably I talk a lot about my successes and not a lot about my failures. So including those, and showing that vulnerability, people will appreciate it. Personal attention, that's self-explanatory. If you support your team during your both successes and failures, they will definitely appreciate it. And recognition and appreciation, this is something that we think, well, we've said this, that there is no need for us to remind this to people, but everyone needs recognition. And so if you think that something is self-explanatory, in other words, say, oh, of course you did a really good job there, right? Well, remind yourself that people need to hear it, right? And if you think that someone has done a great job, remind them that, okay? Here are some reflective questions on this side too. Think about when you kind of the last time actively put yourself in someone else's shoes, and how did that change your interaction with them? Think about if you are sitting on the other side of the table and you say, well, if I would be the recipient of what I'm going to say, how would I feel now? That's a very good exercise. How do you think your team will describe your responses to their mistake or challenges? And I do this with leaders many times. If I ask, if I would sit with this team member, what would they tell me? If I would ask this team member about that experience, what would they tell me? What would their perspective be? And so many times they say, well, from their perspective, oh yeah, I see. So they don't see what I see. Oh, okay, you're getting home, okay? Does this align with the empathetic leader you want to be? And how can you adjust your daily communication to ensure to be more empathetical, align with your team needs and perspective? So these are really good things for us to think about when it comes to empathy. So let's recap a little bit. What did we cover today? And this was kind of the first part of the real success formula. And we're gonna, in the next ones, we're gonna cover the next elements, but this is about relationships, okay? So let's look at some of the recaps. The big thing you know, if this is one takeaway you take with you, this is it. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The things that changed for me when I made those shifts, and you're gonna recognize this, you know, focus on building relationships with people that with everyone, but mostly with people that I led and coached. I started to equip myself and my team in the areas of my strength, and also covering my blind spots for us to be equipped for success. I took responsibility of my attitude, and I began to develop my leadership skills. So these will be things that we're going to cover in the next shows, as part of the real success formula. So today we cover relationship. In the next 2 months, we're going to cover equipping, attitude, leadership, and then we're going to kind of do one that will will incorporate all of them to see how they fit together. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you today. Remind yourself about this. Every new challenge, every new level of growth requires a better and different you. That's why my business is called Become Best Version. There's always progress. And so I'm going to share with you one way you could grow and improve your communication, your relationship. I'm so excited to bring this to Gothenburg again. On October 17, we're going to host our Live to Lead simulcast in Gothenburg. So this is a global leadership event from the Maxwell Leadership. And I'm so excited to bring these speakers virtually to Gothenburg. It will be a great experience. So if you're in Gothenburg, or you can travel on the October 17th, you would love being in the room. live2lead.se. That's the website you can get the tickets. And next live, we're gonna be next Thursday, July 4th, same time. I hope next time it works on LinkedIn, and you're gonna see this live on LinkedIn and not the recording of it. But if it happens that it's something like this, then we can always share the YouTube link with you, and you can join us there. So thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for being here, and I hope you got some value out of this. Again, apologies for the technical side of it. If you were looking for this on LinkedIn and you're not able to see it, well, we hope you're gonna catch up with the recording here and see and see how this could add value to you. If you're interested in Live to Lead, we would love to have you in the room, and I'll look forward to see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. All right. Take care. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.